but we are really looking forward to the upgrades, and I think the students deserve it. I think
District 4, Erica Whitfield.
Here.
District 5, Frank Barrieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews.
Here.
District 7, Deborah Robinson.
Let the record show that all 7 board members are here. This month we have 3 proclamations on the agenda. One proclamation is declaring October as LGBT History Month, a proclamation declaring October as National Bullying Prevention and Awareness Month, and a proclamation declaring October 14th through 20th as Mediation Week and October 18th as Conflict Resolution Day. Tonight, we're very pleased to have the William T. Dwyer High School Army Junior ROTC Panther Battalion here to present the flag, and performing the national anthem tonight is a group from Santa Lucia High School, the Santa Lucia High School Reflections. So please stand for the presentation of colors, our national anthem, and our pledge tonight will be led by Mrs. Barbara Terembes. Oh, wait.
United States of one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Forward, march.
Thank you and congratulations to both schools for doing a great job, and we'd like to recognize the principal from William T. Dwyer High School, Mr. Corey Brooks, and the principal of Santa Lucia's Community High School, Ms. Tamika Robinson. So thank you to all of our students and their teachers. So our first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have 3 items. Is there a motion to approve minutes 1 through 3? Motion by Mr. Barbieri, second by Dr. Robinson. Any discussion? Seeing no, all in favor, all opposed. At this time, we'd like to take a moment to wish a very happy birthday to our student government representative, Nolan Ursery. Yesterday turned 18, so congratulations and happy birthday. No? Okay. I just asked the superintendent if I could ask the one question you've got to answer before you can graduate, but I understand that you all don't know yet, or does that mean you do know? You don't know? Okay. Do you know what the question is? Okay. Thank you very much, and again, happy birthday. The next item on the agenda are the items that have been added. Discussion. All in favor, all opposed, motion carries 7-0. Are there any disclosures or abstentions? Seeing none, we'll move to superintendent's report and board members' reports. Dr. Fenoy.
Yes, good evening, board members and community. I'd like to begin my board comments tonight by recognizing that October is National Principals Month. This month, we show our appreciation for the men and women who provide leadership and support for our students and staff every day. If you hadn't had a chance to see some of our principals' selfies that they have shared throughout the district's social media, take some time to learn more about our outstanding principals. You will see a common thread. Our principals are committed to our students, and it is in that commitment that inspires their work every day. Principals, thank you. This month, yes, give them a round of applause. You know, I often like to tell, there was a time where I actually raised money for a nonprofit that trained principals, and I raised a lot of money by just making one statement that the principalship can be one of the loneliest jobs in America. And even as a superintendent, I'm not really lonely because I have a great team working with me, but the principalship is a hard job, and I reflect on those days. So my heart really goes out to all the hard work of our men and women doing that work. This month is also Dyslexia Awareness Month. We recognize this month as a chance to pause and reflect on the challenge that people with dyslexia face. We honor this month by recognizing our students who consistently and courageously work to overcome their learning disability. We honor the parents who are their children's champions, and we honor the teachers who work with these students to ensure their success at school and in their future. Last night, I had the chance to walk the floor of the 21st Annual Showcase of Schools. I am truly impressed. While, of course, I know these opportunities are available in our district, to see them all come together in one place is just remarkable. And I know that thousands of family in attendance would agree. And again, I went yesterday as a superintendent, but also as a father whose fifth grader will be going into middle school next year. So even I was a little overwhelmed with the choices that we have for our kids. I commend our Choice and Career Options Department for their continued success of this event and look forward to watching it continue to grow year after year. Let's take a video look at last night's event.
Thousands of Palm Beach County parents and students poured into the Expo Center at the South Florida Fairgrounds for the annual Showcase of Schools. The event highlights the more than 300 choice and career programs offered in the school district of Palm Beach County.
I think it's very exciting because like you can see all the good options and all the good choices.
From STEM and robotics to medical and veterinary, even JROTC, dual language, and performing arts. There's something for everyone.
I'm looking for a high school with a good law program. There's a bunch of big video games now that I like, and it would be cool to design one.
I'm looking for theater/drama.
Why?
Because I think it's really cool to act on stage.
Choice and Career Options administrators work with area business leaders and organizations to develop cutting-edge programs that are interesting to students and that lead to well-paying, available jobs in our community.
We really do want to design programs that are going to lead them to whatever it is they desire when they graduate from high school.
Choice applications open November 1st, with Performing Arts programs deadlines on December 7th, 2018. The deadline for all other Choice program applications is January 25th, 2019. Remember, these innovative programs are part of public schools in Palm Beach County and are free of charge.
There's not a private school or charter school that can offer what we offer to the children and really tailor it to their needs and their interests. With the myriad of schools here today, you're sure to find what's right for your child.
Information and applications can be found on palmbeachschools.org/choice programs. Tricia Shervin for the Education Network, keeping you informed.
Again, congratulations to that department and our board for creating such great options for parents. Last week, the Wellington Village Council presented $330,000 in education grants to the schools in their community. Each of the 11 schools in Wellington received $30,000 in grants to bolster student achievement. We will be recognizing the village for their continued generosity at a later date, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity to say thank you to the village of Wellington before then. And finally, a week ago, our friends in the Florida Panhandle were devastated by Hurricane Michael. 8 school districts in Florida are closed until further notice, and one will remain closed for the remainder of the week. Our neighbors need our help, and I am very proud that our supply drives already are underway in many of our schools. Additionally, the Florida Association of School District Superintendents has also created a GoFundMe page to raise money for the school districts impacted by the storm. You can make a donation through their website at fadss.org, or you can also find the link on our district social media pages as well. This evening, we also have the pleasure of introducing two new principals, one for Waters Edge Elementary and one for Belvedere Elementary. As Ms. Wyatt and Ms. Sanders come to the podium to introduce our new leaders, I would also like to take a moment to thank Diane Mayer, our principal at Belvedere Elementary, who will be retiring soon, for the many years of service to our district. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good evening, Chairman Shaw, Vice Chairwoman Dr. Robinson, school board members, and Dr. Fenoy. It was with great pleasure that I introduced Julie Walker as the next principal of Waters Edge Elementary, pending board approval. And we are very excited to have her join the amazing South Region team and continue the great work at Waters Edge.
Good evening, Chairman Mr. Shaw, Vice Chairwoman Dr. Robinson, Dr. Fenoy, and school board members. I would like to begin by thanking the school board members, Dr. Fenoy and Mr. Oswald, for their confidence in my leadership. To Mr. Barbieri, I am grateful for the opportunity to come back to the South Region. Thank you. As I approach my 20th year in this district, I am so excited to take on the new role as the proud principal of Waters Edge Elementary School. I look forward to creating relationships with the teachers, students, families, and all stakeholders of the Waters Edge community. I know that my instructional background will help all students continue to achieve success to enhance the long-standing tradition of academic excellence at Waters Edge. I would like to thank Dr. Ian Saltzman, the South Region Superintendent, along with Ms. Jamie Wyatt, the South Region Instructional Superintendent, for their confidence in me and providing me with this opportunity. I would also like to thank the Assistant Superintendent of Professional Growth, Ms. Carlene Millen, and the Director of Professional Development, Ms. Jen Carras, for supporting my growth over the last year. A very special thank you to the Director of Leadership Development, Dr. Laurie Riapel, for providing me with opportunities to grow and for her constant belief in my abilities. Lastly, I would like to thank my family for being my rock and my constant source of support and love. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Shaw, Vice Chairwoman Dr. Robinson, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Fenoy, and Deputy Superintendent Mr. Oswald. It is my absolute delight to present to you today the new principal at Belvedere Elementary, pending board approval, Mrs. Amy Lopez.
Good evening. Pardon my voice. Good evening, Chairman Shaw, Mr. Shaw, Vice Chairwoman Dr. Robinson, board members, Dr. Fenoy, Mr. Oswald. It is an honor and pleasure to be named the next principal at Belvedere Elementary School. As you know, the principal position entails a great deal of responsibility and grand leadership, but I have demonstrated all of those skills, and I will bring some wonderful things to Belvedere Elementary. My career has been within the school district, all in Title I schools, and my love is especially for ELLs and dual language. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude for all of those that have made it possible for me. Excuse me. First, I'd like to thank God for His grace. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Fenoy, Mr. Oswald, Dr. Rodriguez, Dr. Sanders, for their confidence in me and entrusting me with this great responsibility. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my outstanding role models. Excuse me. Assistant Superintendent of Professional Growth, Ms. Carlene Millen, my director, Mrs. Jen Carras, and the Director of Leadership Development, Dr. Laurie Riapel. Without their outstanding leadership, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I'd like to also thank all of the assistant principals and principals that have steered me on my journey here in Palm Beach County, because they're probably watching tonight, so thank you. And last but definitely not least, my family, my parents, my supportive husband who's my rock, and without his support steering me and with his faith, I wouldn't be here today. And the two people that keep me motivated are my two young boys. They keep me motivated to continue to learn, and as a leader, leaders are always learning. As I transition to Belvedere, I am aware of the anticipation and eagerness of new leadership in any organization, and it is my role, commitment, and responsibility to embrace the entire school community. I truly look forward to this opportunity, and it's great to be a Belvedere B. Thank you.
Okay. Board member comments. We'll start with Mrs. McQuinn.
I'm saving mine for later. Thank you.
Mrs. Whitfield.
Absolutely. I'm excited. So, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about tonight. The first thing I wanted to talk about was it happened on September 25th. We had a group of over 250 people from the community, the League of Women Voters, and so many staff members that went out to all of our local high schools and were able to register students to vote. This is something that was made possible by Ms. Diana Fetterman and her staff, but also the amazing League of Women Voters who really just did such an unbelievable job. We, on that day, actually registered 1,938 students here in our schools. Amazing. So proud of them, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody who volunteered their time that day. I think this says so much about our community, that we care so much about our students and really getting their voice out there. The second thing I wanted to mention with that is that how important it is to vote. This is our last election, or last meeting before the election on November 6th. So I hope that everyone that hears us will go out and vote and make your voice heard here in Palm Beach County. I think there's really nothing more important that you can do on that day, and I just wanted to make a moment to say that. Thank you. The next thing I wanted to mention is on November 3rd, our Education Foundation is having a run in Bryant Park. This is the 5th annual Heroes for Education 5K. This is raising funds for the Education Foundation of Palm Beach County, which everyone knows supports our schools and our teachers. I think it is such a wonderful moment to get out and be able to support your schools and your teachers and also get some exercise in your day. It's just a beautiful way to start the day on that Saturday. So please go and look at educationfoundationpbc.org/heroes5k so that you can register and be a part of that. And if you have any questions, I know we have our director here with us today, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. The last thing I wanted to say was a huge thank you to the Showcase of Schools last night. I think that just the conversation about all of that with that video made my blood run cold. I have to, my daughter has to start middle school next year. It is an absolutely terrifying thing. I'm so in love with her elementary school. The idea of moving on is too much for me to bear, but I have to say she came home from the Showcase of Schools last night and she couldn't fall asleep. I think she was literally up till like 10:30. She was so excited. She was just inspired and thrilled and can't wait to go to middle school. So I want to say thank you so much to the staff who are doing such an awesome job of getting so many students really excited about their education, and I really think that that has a lot to do with why our school district is so successful and children feel so engaged in their schools. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Brill.
Thank you. And so tonight I want to start off by saying congratulations to Park Vista's striking Cobra Band. They achieved first in class and second place overall at the Bands of America Orlando Regional Championship this past Saturday. As you know, Park Vista will be marching in this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Please come out and help support them by attending the annual Park Vista Striking Band Invitational on November 3rd. We will make sure that we get the time out to all of you, but my understanding is that it may take place all day long. If so, stop by as your time permits and after you join the Education Foundation at the Heroes for Education 5K that Mrs. Whitfield just mentioned. I also want to offer my congratulations to the Department of Choice and Career Options for their once again fabulous showcase of schools at the South Florida Fairgrounds. And now I want to tell you about a meeting I attended yesterday in Parkland. Get It Done is a nonpartisan action team of leaders working together created by Hava Holzhauer. The subject yesterday was school safety, and the speakers were Lori Aladef and me. Lori tragically lost her daughter, Alyssa, in the Parkland massacre and was recently elected to the Broward County School Board. In attendance, accompanying our newly elected State Representative Tina Polsky, and also at the invitation of Congressman Ted Deutsch's legislative aide Wendy Lipsitch, was our lobbyist Rita Solnit. The differences between our two school districts are striking, but there are also so many similarities. I bring this up because as our conversation progressed, I quickly realized it would be beneficial on a number of levels and in a number of ways for us, the school board, to convene a meeting with our colleagues in Broward County and Miami-Dade. The purpose of the meeting would be to discuss school safety and how we can work together locally and lobbying at the state level. We have ideas we can share with each other on other matters as well. I won't go into details now. However, since our lobbyist was there and because we must act as a collective body, by a nod of heads from my colleagues, I would like us to give direction to the superintendent to allow Ms. Solnit to assist in arranging this meeting and to include the lobbyists from our 3 districts in the discussion. So if you agree with me that we should all get together to try and work together, I would appreciate your indicating so. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Andrews.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. And I too want to congratulate all who were involved in the showcase of schools yesterday. It truly was outstanding. Dr. Johnson, I'm giving you kudos. You've taken over for Dr. Licata, but guess what? Your team did an excellent job. I love seeing the students recruit for their choice academies for their schools. It's outstanding to see them actually go up to parents and present information as it relates to the great programs they have in their schools. I thank you, principals, teachers, and staff. All of you were out there. The parents were out there. It was just simply a wonderful time. I found my way working through the crowds just to wave at you to say hello. So keep up the great work. This is a tradition in Palm Beach County, outstanding with the showcase of schools. And I know Dr. Fenoy mentioned it, but I'm going to mention it again and again. Wellington, Wellington, Wellington. The Village of Wellington, your Education Advisory Board, your dedication to the community, $330,000 for the 11 village schools, $30,000 for each school, given in the grant money, a big, big check, a grant in honor of our own and beloved Keely Spinelli. Many of us here, remember all the outstanding work she did for the School District of Palm Beach County and her work in the Wellington community as well as in the Wellington schools. She died of cancer, and to honor her commitment to education, the community, the Village of Wellington, recognized her wonderful achievements. So we say, thank you, Wellington. Keep up the great work. You are a forerunner for outstanding achievement as a community, as a village for others. And I know on the agenda tonight we have a special thank you to the Jacobs family of Wellington. Your work in the community, working with our schools, contributing, helping to make our schools great in the Village of Wellington. You've been doing it for years. And I salute you tonight as you receive recognition for your wonderful, wonderful support and attention to our schools, and you help them maintain their excellent status. And lastly, I want to talk about a special thank you. A thank you to the Sovereign Order of St. John of Jerusalem Knights of Hospitaller, the Commandery of the Palm Beaches. And you may say, what is that, Miss Andrews? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's an order that knows the purpose of giving back. And what they are doing is they are bringing hope and change to Belglade, one student at a time. They are raising funds to build a youth children development center. Their partnership with the First Haitian Baptist Church will continue to make the after-school program a success. The First Haitian Baptist Church has an after-school program of 120 students. The building that they are in now is very old, and this group is working hard to raise funds to build this new facility. So once this is done, the students from the church will have an after-school program in a building that will be superb for learning. But we want to commend them for their great work, and I'm happy to participate in this great venture. Thank you.
Mr. Barbieri.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. I also want to thank, as the other board members did, Dr. Licata, Dr. Johnson, her staff for a great program last night at the fairgrounds. Like Mrs. Whitfield, who's terrified that her elementary school child is going into middle school, I'll tell you what's terrifying is the little boy that I recently buckled into a car seat was standing next to me last night, my grandson Brandon, who is now looking at which high school he wants to go to next year. So if you're terrified about an elementary school going to middle school, just think what it's going to be like when your grandchild is starting high school, and all of a sudden you realize that half your life, more than half of your life, is probably the other side of where you're at. So great job last night, Dr. Licata and Dr. Johnson. Great job. Brandon found a couple schools that he's thrilled to attend, and I'll be thrilled to see him there. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. So first, let me invite you to participate in the State of Florida's African American History Task Force educational event that will take place on Saturday, November 10th at Atlantic High School. We're requesting that everyone register so that we make sure we have enough refreshments and so forth, and you would contact Mr. Brian Knowles, Knowles, to register. So along that line, you know that I have to give you the Black History fact for this month. So as a medical student and then a physician, I often wondered how our textbooks could describe the natural history of an illness. This would require that someone observe the disease process. And I wanted to believe that this observation had to be retrospective because I had taken a course in medical ethics as an undergraduate at Michigan State. But in that course, they failed to teach me about the Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male, as it was officially called. So according to the Centers for Disease Control, this study began in 1932 and initially involved about 600 black men, some with syphilis and some without. Now, I want you to know that at that time, again, according to the CDC, approximately 35% of the reproductive age population of the United States was infected with syphilis, and it was considered a major public health problem. People were being treated with mercury and other toxic treatments that were sometimes fatal, and the cure rate was only around 30%. So something had to be done. So they decided to study these black men. These men were told that they were being treated for bad blood, and in exchange for their participation, they received free medical exams, free meals, and burial insurance. Local physicians were even asked to not treat them in order to cooperate with the study. This study was officially done to record the natural history of syphilis. So I'll skip in the interest of time. In 1945, penicillin was noted to be highly effective in treating syphilis, but this treatment was denied to these men. So the simple, effective treatment was not offered to them. 2 years later, United States Public Health Service established rapid treatment centers across this country to treat syphilis, but these black men were denied treatment. So in 1969, the CDC reaffirmed the need to continue this study in order to know the natural history of syphilis, and in fact gained support from the American Medical Association and National Medical Association. So the study did not end until 1972 after public outcry and an advisory panel that concluded that the study was, quote, ethically unjustified, meaning the knowledge gained was sparse compared to the risk the study posed on these subjects. There was a class action lawsuit and a $10 million out-of-court settlement. Programs were established to provide medical and burial benefits to these men, their wives and widows and offspring. In 1997, President Clinton issued an apology on behalf of the nation. And shortly thereafter, the Tuskegee University National Center for Bioethics and Research in Healthcare was created. And this was followed by the President's Council on Bioethics, which was established in 2001. So this was a very, very sad chapter in our nation's history. I think it's important that we understand the context and that we make sure that our young people learn about this sad chapter in addition to many others, because the truth will set you free. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our comments from board members. Our next item on the agenda are our presentations, and this time I'd like to invite Naka Nolam to please come forward for the presentations for tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, superintendent and staff, and community members. This evening, we have 6 presentations on the agenda. We want to first recognize J.P. Morgan Chase and Company for their generous donation to one of our high schools through the Education Foundation. J.P. Morgan made a $200,000 grant to establish the Fire Science Academy at Palm Beach Lakes Community High School. This grant was awarded in order to prepare students to meet the key workforce needs in the region, particularly with increasing the minority applicant pool for future firefighters and related careers in Palm Beach County. The Fire Science Academy is a 4-year program of study that provides the pathway and preparation for entry into post-secondary academies, specifically Palm Beach State College. The Fire Science Academy combines 2 secondary career and technical educational programs, which include Introduction for Firefighting and Emergency Medical Responder. Students enrolled in the academy will learn practical skills and graduate from this program with the opportunity to earn 2 industry certifications prior to their transition into the Fire Academy at Palm Beach State College. This substantial donation is incredibly generous and will have such a positive impact on the students. The school district greatly appreciates this charitable grant and the support of J.P. Morgan Chase. Here tonight, as part of this recognition, we want to first welcome the following individuals from the Education Foundation. I'd ask everyone that I call to please come forward as I call your name, and can we hold our applause until all the names are read? Alan Baseman, board member and attorney with Committer, Singer, Baseman, and Braun, LLP. Marty Cass, board member and Southeast Private Client Services practice leader, tax managing director at BDO. Jennifer Etheridge, director of programs and grants. James Gavrilos, president and CEO. Ken Kahn, board member and president of LRP Publications. James Moore, board member and strategic account executive at United Healthcare. And Ed Tanser, chairman of the board and shareholder at Gunster Law Firm. And from J.P. Morgan Chase, we want to welcome Todd Adelstein, executive director, Rudy Havelka, vice president, Ralph Hildevert, executive director, Lauren Markham, vice president, Charles Page, vice president, Kimberly Weir, vice president, and we also want to acknowledge David Alfonso, the principal at Palm Beach Lakes High, Virginia Baker, Palm Beach County administrator, Dr. Miguel Benavente, medical sciences specialist, administrator in the Department of Choice and Career Options, Barbara Cipriano, Associate Dean of Public Safety at Palm Beach State College, Chief Joey Cooper, Deputy Chief of Administration for the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, Dr. Geraldine Johnson, Director of Choice and Career Options, and Dr. Pete Licata, Assistant Superintendent of Choice and Innovation. Let's give them all a round of applause. And And at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Juan Tagle, Executive Director, Market Executive at JP Morgan Chase, to please come to the podium to say a few words. All right, Mr. Juan Tagle, if you want to come forward, we'd love to have you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. Super thrilled to be here. One of the things you know about banking is safety in numbers, so we bring an army of people wherever we go. Very proud to be here, not only as a JP Morgan Chase employee, but also as an alumni of Jerry Thomas, Jupiter Middle, and Jupiter High as well. So JP Morgan Chase is investing $200,000 in the Education Foundation to help create a fire science academy at Palm Beach Lakes High School, and we couldn't be more excited. Students who complete this four-year program will graduate with a high school diploma and the opportunity to earn firefighter and emergency responder certificates, which will help them land a full-time position at one of our local fire departments. This is a win-win for our community. The new academy will help young people establish strong careers and help our fire departments hire local, diverse talent with the right skills for the job. So I just wanted to thank so many constituents involved, James and his team from the Education Foundation, district employees, Dr. Fenoy, Mr. Okada, I mean, so many people to make this a reality. And I look forward to going to the showcase next year so that I can see that booth and interact. And so thank you all once again.
1, 2. One more. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we want to recognize the Jacobs Family Foundation of Wellington. The Jacobs family has been active in the Wellington community since 1972. Their foundation was formed in 2015 to facilitate the family's philanthropic efforts. The foundation recently made a $25,000 donation to the Pre-IT Academy at Emerald Cove Middle School. The funds will be used for the school's Pre-IT Academy students to help facilitate classroom instruction that will provide them with greater job opportunities and career advancement within the field of technology. A big thank you to the Jacobs Family Foundation for this generous donation. And here tonight to accept this recognition, we have Rebecca King, Grant Coordinator for the Jacobs Family Foundation, Emerald Cove's Principal, Dr. Eugenia Smith-Feeman, and Salam Shuhaber, the school's Pre-IT Academy instructor. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. And next, we want to recognize a local company for their donation to one of our elementary schools. Bocatronics is an electronic distributor for the military. They donated electronic equipment to Sandpiper Shores Elementary School, valued at more than $10,000. The donated equipment included 2 new cameras, 2 green screens, a new soundboard, and much more. The equipment will be used for the school's morning announcements. We deeply appreciate Bocatronics for their generosity and contribution, ensuring that our students have the latest equipment that serves to enhance their learning. Here tonight to accept this recognition, we have Scott Perks, Bocatronics Director of Quality. And Stephanie Coletto, the principal at Sandpiper Shores. Let's give them a round of applause.
Guys, looking good. Great, thank you.
And now we want to recognize the student winners of an essay contest sponsored by the Palm Beach County Bar Association, the PBCBA. Middle and high school students were eligible to enter the contest, and the theme the students were asked to discuss was conflict and mediation in today's society. Each of the winning students submitted essays that best spoke to the designated theme. We want to thank the PBCBA for their sponsorship of this essay contest and their donations of monetary prizes to our student winners. Congratulations to each of the winners. Please come forward as I call your name. In first place with a $50 prize is Sarah Matos from Wellington Community High School and her teacher Marie Ferris, who will also receive $50. Okay, he might not be here. All right, in second place with a $25 prize is Brandon Leonard from Park Vista Community High School and his teacher Melanie Lee, who will also receive $25. And tied for second place with a $25 prize is Morgan Suarez from Wellington Community High, who is another student of Marie Ferris, and Marie will also receive an additional $25. And we also want to acknowledge Mr. Bruce Blitman, an attorney and member of the PBCBA and the Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee of the Association, Mr. Greg Huber, president of the PBCBA, Jeffrey Marcus, PBCBA ADR Committee Coordinator, Laura Starr, PBCBA ADR Committee Coordinator, Diana Fetterman, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, and Rosine Plank-Brumback, Chair of the PBCBA ADR Committee. And at this time, Ms. Plank-Brumback would like to present checks to each of the essay contest winners. Let's give everyone a round of applause.
All right, guys, look over here. Got it.
Now we'd like to recognize Ms. Lisa Harris, a second grade teacher at North Grade Elementary School in Lake Worth. Ms. Harris recently received a $5,000 grant from the Social Emotional Learning Innovation Fund, the SEL Innovation Fund. The Innovation Fund launched in 2016, and it has given more than $2 million to teachers and school districts. Ms. Harris submitted an application to the SEL Innovation Fund for a program that she developed in her classroom called Improv to Improve. Her program brings improvisational exercises into classrooms as a way to teach social and emotional competencies to students. The implementation of these games in the classroom enables teachers to explicitly teach children how to appropriately respond to their own emotional condition and be empathetic towards the feelings of others, and to hone speaking and listening skills. The games foster a positive community environment of learning and fun. The grant will help Ms. Harris expand her program to reach more students at her school and throughout the district. In addition to the grant, Ms. Harris received an all-expenses-paid trip to New Mexico later this month for a conference with all of the SEL Innovation grantees. This grant is a testament to the efforts of our teachers who work tirelessly to give their students the skills they need to succeed in the classroom and beyond. We are proud to congratulate Ms. Lisa Harris for her ingenuity and enthusiasm for her program and for receiving this national grant from the SEL Innovation Fund. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. And we just want to also acknowledge the principal at North Grade Elementary, Ms. Nicole Patterson. And finally this evening, we want to recognize 3 of our elementary schools for their achievement in the Everglades Champion Schools Recognition Program. The program recognizes schools as critical partners in Everglades conservation. The goal of the program is to support and celebrate schools that make Everglades literacy a core part of their learning culture. The program encourages schools to develop Everglades initiatives in 5 key areas: professional development, curriculum integration, inquiry and project-based learning, school leadership, and innovation. Participating schools document their activities in each area and submit an application at the end of the school year to earn points toward recognition as a bronze, silver, or gold level Everglades Champion School. This evening, we are congratulating Galaxy Elementary School and Freedom Shores Elementary School for achieving silver level in the recognition program, and Gove Elementary School for reaching gold level status. Here tonight to accept the recognition from Galaxy Elementary, we have the Everglades Coordinator, Claudia Romano, and the Principal, Ms. Lisa Steele, along with Jennifer Espinoza, the Single School Culture Coordinator. Let's give them a round of applause. From Freedom Shores Elementary School, Everglades Coordinator Julie Beasley, and the Principal, Mr. Michael Sabatino. Let's give them a round of applause. From Gove Elementary School, Everglades Coordinator Gail Savala and Principal Kim Thomason. Let's give them a round of applause. And we also want to acknowledge Mr. Ray Coleman, Executive Director at the Environmental Education Center, Jennifer Diaz, Director of Education for the Everglades Foundation, Mr. Gregory Goebel, Bridget Lutz, Ellen Smith, and Florencio Zavala. Let's give them all a round of applause.
Sorry. All right, everyone, look over here. 1, 2, 3. Hold for one more. Got it. And then if you want to switch out to the next one. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I can't see Mr. Barbieri. There you go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I got it.
Great job, thank you. Mr. Chairman, board members, superintendent and staff, and members of the community, this concludes the presentations for October. The Communications and Engagement Department invites you to visit the district website at www.palmbeachschools.org to learn more about all the great things happening in our schools, departments, and communities. Make sure to follow us on social media, available in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. And we also encourage you to download our mobile app in Google Play or from the App Store. Search for School District of Palm Beach County in either store. Thank you, everyone, for your attention this evening, and have a good night.
Thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is our student government report. Mr. Ursary.
I would like to start off by thanking everyone for the great birthday wishes. I had a great 18th birthday. I'm happy to be an adult now, move on, hopefully go to college next year. It's great not to be the only kid down here now. I get to be an adult like everybody else. Since what's been going on lately, we had our first county meeting with all the student governments. I think 21, if I remember correctly, attending that county meeting on this past September 27th. Everything went great. All the students were able to learn how to celebrate cultural diversity at their own schools, and then also turn that into projects and events to spread the knowledge they learned across their schools to hopefully get that out. We also had a great service project going on there. We made over 250 care packages for the homeless that include different types of crackers, granola bars, socks, canned meat, water, soap, and we're still distributing those out to the homeless community around the county, and we're just really happy to help out our fellow people in our community. Our next meeting will take place in November at Dwyer Community High School, or William T. Dwyer High School, my bad. And that's all that's been going on right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and again, happy birthday. For anybody who doesn't know, the question that I asked him if he knew is, we expect all of our seniors to know as soon as the date's released, the date and time of graduation. So he's ready. So, and I think that'll be out when Dr. Fenoy within like the next month or so, all of the dates and times. So we'll move to committee reports. Academic Advisory Committee and the Audit Committee and Cork, I think, are both written reports. All right. Mrs. Andrews on the Audit Committee.
Thank you, and good evening to everyone again. To the superintendent, to the board, and to our audience tonight. We would like to recognize and thank Mr. Richard Roberts for his dedication and support while serving on the Office of Inspector General Audit Committee. Mr. Roberts has been my representative for the past 8 years. During the last 18 years, Richard's commitment to our community started in September 2000. He faithfully attended monthly audit committee meetings, bringing his vast knowledge of auditing. As a former CFO with the Palm Beach County Commissioners, Mr. Roberts' guidance enhanced the procedures to ensure our schools and departments maintain the highest standards. In appreciation of your dedication and support as a member of the Audit Committee of the Palm Beach County School District, we thank you again, Mr. Roberts, and we will be presenting you a plaque tonight. I'm asking the superintendent and the entire board to come forward and present this plaque to our member, our longstanding Audit Committee member, Mr. Richard Roberts. Please come forward, Mr. Roberts. And superintendent and board, let's go down. This is an esteemed honor. Mr. Chu.
We now move to delegations or elected officials. We have 3 speakers. I'll call all 3. James Gavelos from the Ed Foundation, Charmaine Postal from PTA, Justin Katz, CTA.
Okay. Good evening, Superintendent, Dr. Fenoy, Chairman Shaw, and everyone, board members and everyone else in your respective places. I would like to start this evening by saying a big congratulations to Northmore Elementary School in West Palm Beach. They have officially become a charter under the leadership of Vonda Davis and the new president, Sucker, or as I would call her, the new voluntold, who is ready for the torture. Rita Gonzalez is the president of that PTA. They were chartered last month, but officially chartered with the IRS and everyone else this month. Adding on to more than 12,000 voices in Palm Beach County and over 4 million nationwide. What is PTA? To whoever's in this room, question. PTA is Parent Teacher Association, one of the largest child advocacy groups in the world. I don't say one, I say the largest child advocacy, volunteer-based child advocacy group in the world. I had my little notes. One thing that I wanted to point out, which if I can get my phone open, I had my little notes. I don't want to go off script. PTA is the largest advocacy group in the world, and one of the things, our biggest thing is concern is our children. We are constantly advocating for our children, and a big representation in the schools now. Our board member, Ms. Whitfield, stated November 6th is Election Day. A few things on the Christmas tree, or what I will call the oil and water ballot. PTA opposes Amendment 1, 2, and 5, and 100% support the countywide question, the only countywide question on the ballot to support enhancing school safety, keeping arts and music education, and improving teachers' pay. You can get in touch with PTA by reaching us at palmbeachcountypta@yahoo.com, or you can visit us in every social media aspect. And I give the mic.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Fenoy and respected school board members. Before I begin, a personal thank you to Marcia Andrews. I am a proud knight of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, so you don't have to call me Sir James, please don't. But thank you, and they do some good work with the sick and the poor throughout the world. I would say the last 3 weeks, moving forward to the next 2 weeks, give you as school board members and certainly the public an outstanding illustration of the work that the Education Foundation does. Our stated goal, our mission statement, is that we bring the business community to unite with the world of education. 3 weeks ago, and many of our school board members were present, and we thank you for that, we awarded 62 Go Teach grants, totaling some $71,000 to our most creative, innovative, and amazing public school teachers right here in Palm Beach County. And I want to congratulate all of our recipients of the Go Teach grants. I do want to say that as we approach the ballots and everything else that we need to do, there were 3 teachers who could not be there that night because they were working second jobs to make ends meet. And how tragic that is in this country, that we have our most creative, most innovative, and most effective teachers who have to go out and work a second and a third job. But an outstanding partnership there with the business community for our Go Teach grants. On Friday last week, Pratt & Whitney partnered with the Education Foundation to sponsor a seminar encouraging girls to look at careers in aviation and aeronautical engineering. It was filmed live at Boynton Beach High School and live streamed to 4 additional schools with some 140 of our Palm Beach County students, the preponderance of them being females, given a chance to really explore careers in the aviation and aeronautical engineering industries. And so we thank Pratt & Whitney for that outreach to our school district. I think we said quite a bit tonight, and yet more could be said about the work of J.P. Morgan Chase and the grant that they've awarded to establish the Firefighting Academy at Palm Beach Lakes, and the hope that that's giving young people there who may not ever go to college, but hope and a chance for not just a good career, but a great career, one with which they can support their families. The final part of this run of our partnership with the business community takes place on Saturday. The Education Foundation has been asked to coordinate the annual Publix supermarket Tools for Schools. In about 3.5 hours on Saturday, 110 of our Title I schools are going to receive somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000 of school supplies, which will flow through and be distributed by about 100 volunteer employees of Publix and their families, as well as the staff and board of the Education Foundation. So whether we're awarding grants, putting seminars together to encourage our young people to look at new careers and partnering with our local business leaders, or certainly continuing the operations of our Red Apple Supply Store. Your Education Foundation is on the front lines every day, bringing the amazing business and philanthropic community of Palm Beach County right here to the world of education to do that most sacred duty, the education of our children. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, students, teachers, principals. It's your month, and certainly the public. We are your Education Foundation, serving the needs of the students, teachers, and schools in the finest school district in the state of Florida.
My name is Justin Katz. I'm the president of the Palm Beach County Classroom Teachers Association. I'll be brief, but I'm going to be selfish and announce that I attended a meeting earlier today it's called COBRA. It's the Coalition of Boynton West Residential Association. Literally dozens and dozens of local HOAs, mostly located just west of the city limits in Boynton and Lake Worth. And thanks to the efforts of the school district, to the efforts of Board Member Brill in setting up a meeting with their education committee last week at Park Vista, of which the superintendent, the deputy superintendent, and a number of other highly respected members of the district staff were able to speak and answer questions for the community. And subsequent to that meeting, which went very well, members of the education committee of COBRA went back and they spoke to their leadership, and they said emphatically, we need to get behind this. They normally don't delve into too many political issues. They don't weigh in on things that they feel are outside of their purview, but this is something that the comments they made today when their full delegate assembly voted unanimously to support this, dozens of communities with not a single one dissenting. The people who attend these meetings, if you've never been, and again, Board Member Brill, who represents this area, can attest that most of these individuals are retirees. They don't have children in the school system. They might not even have grandchildren in the school system. So for them, it's a difficult decision to ask to put more money forward for a service that they might have paid for the past 50 years, and they've gotten, they've paid their dues. They did not hesitate to say that they know that the importance of school security, school safety, mental health, and the fine arts, as well as supporting teachers and trying to increase pay to a competitive level, they simply had nothing but positive things to say. So I was humbled to sit there and watch this occur, and I'm just elated to announce that COBRA did endorse this, and that as a result of that, hundreds of thousands of residents that they represent, will be informed of the benefit of this and hopefully support this on the ballot, whether they have their absentee right now or in November. It shows that people in Palm Beach County, as far back as these types of taxes have been asked of them, have stepped up and recognized that public education benefits everyone, that an educated population helps children become men and women of the next generation of a productive manner. And it just, again, I'm at a loss for words, because it truly was a group of people that could have said, look, we've paid our dues, we're done. But they did not. They said, we support the kids, we support the teachers, and it's amazing. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 3 speakers on the agenda items. I'll call all 3: Jane Justice, Allison Rampersad, and Robert Gershman. Ladies first. Justice.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I understand it's the job of the board to direct policy, and I just would like to give a few ideas that you might be concerned about teaching the greatness of our country and possibly promoting constitutional literacy so that the illegal aliens that you've invited into the schools could really assimilate nicely here in this country. I want to ask, why aren't we promoting character building here? Maybe with the Book of Proverbs. I just don't understand, what about helping children to achieve their dreams, and that life is not about stuff and how much money you make. how
Ms.
about...
Rampersad, my understanding was you were speaking on one of our proclamations, not a
Well,
policy.
I am.
Okay,
I'm
please.
getting to that. Thank you for your patience, okay? What about a little, I'm talking about policy making. What about a little equality in the school board representatives, like having some conservative members so that we could be, the people in Palm Beach County could be represented, the people that have Judeo-Christian values. Okay, I don't understand why you called for an LGBT month. To me, it doesn't make any sense. Respecting a person's right to choose what they do in their bedroom has nothing to do with the education, preparing our young people to make a living and to be productive citizens in the world, does it? I don't get that. Now, you're confusing these young people. There's a lot of talk about mental help for the kids and all that, but you're actually making matters worse here. How are these young people supposed to concentrate on their work, on their schoolwork, when you've got them thinking about LGBT? I tell you, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd, and I don't think that the people in this county you're asking for more money right now know what you're doing or what you're up to. I think if you think it's such a great idea, why don't you have somebody do a write-up about what exactly you mean about all this in the newspaper, okay? Because they're usually playing right along with whatever you're planning to do. I just think it's terrible. You know, all of nature testifies against you on this, all of nature. And I just can't believe it. I'll tell you, I just really can't believe it. And I will tell you this, the Bible says that God is not mocked, and what a man sows, he shall reap. You are making a very big mistake. These young minds are impressionable, and you're making a big mistake.
Thank you. Ms. Rampersad.
Good evening, board members. After spending some time looking at your website and the We're All In School District of Palm Beach County's LGBTQ and Critical Support Guide, and reading the following from your website, the Office of African American, Latino, and Gender Studies works to assist district faculty and staff to incorporate gender sensitivity into K-12 curriculum in an age-appropriate manner. These efforts also address state and mandates district policies on gender sensitivity, safety, and bullying. Staff members work with schools to improve the instructional school climate for female students as well as for LGBT students. I truly fail to see how this agenda, this LGBT agenda, helps any one of the students, because what it does basically is single them out for any future possible bullying and other recognition that they may not want. So I'm not going to belabor the situation. What I'd like to do is to make it very simple, to ask God to look down on you and bless you, because I really think you need some guidance. So I'm going to take the rest of my time to say the following. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you. Mr. Kirschman.
All right, thank you, everyone. My name is Robert Kirschman. I'm here, I think it's P1 on a certain teacher that you're considering terminating. His name is Owen Headley, Headley. Owen was born in Barbados and moved with his family here to Palm Beach County in the 1970s, became a U.S. citizen. He thereafter went to college, earned his degree, worked in the Minnesota public school system for approximately 10 years, moved down to Palm Beach County and worked in the Palm Beach County school system for 14 years. He graduated Atlantic High School. When he moved down to the Palm Beach County to teach, he taught at Delray Full Service Center, Atlantic High School, Barton Elementary, and most recently, Hammock Elementary. Owen Headley, the teacher, was, sorry if I'm talking too fast. I think it's P1. His name is Owen Headley, Headley.
And I believe I asked Mrs. Bass, you won't see a name there. That's one of the numbers that's on the list of people.
Okay. Sorry about that, Chairperson. I didn't know. Oh, well, I didn't know you guys didn't have access to the name, but I thought it was important to bring up his name in a situation. So he has dedicated himself, like his family, to teaching. He's been a teacher in the public schools for 24 years. And unbeknownst to him, back in August, around August 29th, he was arrested. I am a criminal defense attorney that has handled Owen's matters here in the federal district court. And that criminal matter that he is incarcerated on is out of Toronto, Canada. So it's not your ordinary criminal case. It's an international extradition, which is unique. So he is in custody waiting to go to Toronto, where these allegations supposedly happened when he was with his family, and be released from there. Unbeknownst to him, pursuant to policy, he receives a letter when he didn't show up to class for a certain number of consecutive days that, here are your choices. His brother, a teacher at FAU, filled out as a power of attorney the form asking for personal leave. A few days later, that was rejected. So now I understand, and their P1, he's sort of here for this summary vote. But I ask that he be considered holistically. He is adored. I heard Tuskegee early. He started a program. He's African American, started an African American program, took students after raising money to Tuskegee, to Africa, to those American historical sites, and especially African American historical sites. His issues are only positive except for these allegations, which are weak. But I understand you have a policy. But I'm asking, if possible, instead of termination, and then he's exonerated, has to reapply and go through that reapplication process, if there is a way to view his situation with an eye towards that personal leave. Those are my comments. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. That concludes our speakers on agenda items, so we'll move to the consent agenda. Are there any items from the consent? Anybody want to put any other items? Dr. Robinson?
Let's take P1 off of consent, please.
All right, pull P1. All right, any other items? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mr. Barbieri. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So we move to Carol. All right, before we go, we voted, all those in favor, all those opposed to the motion on the consent agenda carries, so we need to move to new business, and we have a couple good cause statements that I need to read at this point. LD4 was added to take appropriate action with respect to the Angelette Green versus School Board of Palm Beach County case. And the second item, LD4, was added to this agenda after the publication of the agenda. On Tuesday, October 9th, mediation took place and a proposed settlement was reached by the party subject to the approval of the board. Both parties requested immediate action from the board in order to avoid additional expenditure of time and costs that would otherwise be incurred by the parties in preparing for trial. This item then was added to the online agenda on November 11th with sufficient notice under these circumstances. So based on that, I believe good cause exists for adding this item to the agenda. P2 was added and P3 was added. Those two items are on the agenda to allow for employees impacted on these two items to begin their employment as soon as possible. So if you will refresh your agenda for P2 or P1 to be pulled, we'll give everybody a second and then move to new business. Are you all set? Our first item, COM 7. Dr. Fenoy.
CON 7, I recommend the board proclaim October 2018 as LGBT History Month.
Your motion by Mrs. Whitfield, second by Dr. Robinson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, all opposed. Motion carries 7-0. COM 8.
COM 8, I recommend the board proclaim October 2018 as National Bullying Prevention and Awareness Month.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Mrs. Brill. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, all opposed. Motion carries 7-0. COM 9.
COM 9, I recommend the board proclaim October 14th through the 20th, 2018 as Mediation Week and October 18th, 2018 as Conflict Resolution Day.
Is there a motion? Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, all opposed. Motion carries 7-0. FMPF1.
FMPF1, I recommend the board receive and accept the monthly contract and disbursement report as submitted.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mrs. Whitfield. I think, Dr. Robinson, you pulled that one.
Yep. This is my standing decision to reject the acceptance of these monthly purchasing reports because I don't think we're living up to expectations. Thank you.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-1 with Dr. Robinson voting against. IG4.
IG4, I recommend the board receive and file the audit of the competitive solicitations process for projects funded by the one-penny sales tax, of which half goes to the district. Report number 2018-10.
Is there a motion? Mrs. Andrews, second by Mrs. Whitfield. Dr. Robinson, I think you pulled that one.
Yes, I pulled it. I'm trying to find the exact language. There was language in here about unbalanced bidding, and the part that I wanted to question was the recommendation from the audit was that we establish a practice that says that if staff determines that it's an unbalanced bid, that the bid would be rejected. And staff's response was may be rejected. And so I just think if it's strong enough for staff to know that it's unbalanced, that it should be rejected, not may be rejected. I'm not quite sure why staff said may.
Other questions? Mrs. Andrews?
Yes, I specifically spoke to Mr. Chu about that, and he gave me an explanation through this board chair and superintendent to Mr. Chu.
Mr. Chu?
When we make recommendations, they are up to staff if they are willing to correct or make adjustment to it. And however, we might not necessarily agree with their acts, so we may have to come back when we do the audit, and we have to say it again. So it's now the decision belongs to the superintendent and his staff to decide which way to go.
Mr. Barbieri?
Okay, follow up.
Mr. Superintendent, do we need to have a policy fix here to make sure that it shall be rejected if that's what the board believes is the intent of the process? Mr. Chu, are you suggesting that it shall be rejected?
Well, if they agree with us without objection, I don't see why they used,
Mrs. Andrews?
Yeah, my understanding from you, Mr. Chu, is that they have this time frame, and you're going to look at it again. If for some reason they're not following what you've actually stated for them to do, that you will bring it back to us.
Right, yes.
Right.
All right. I think what I'm hearing is that this will come back to us after you've had a chance then to review the whole issue with staff and everything. Okay. Any other questions? Dr. Robinson?
So, as I understand this process, so the Inspector General, through the audit process, made a recommendation that unbalanced bids would be rejected. The staff's response was, may be rejected. I think the board needs to weigh in on how we expect this process to be handled. Now, as I understand it, maybe there's some gray zone in whether maybe this particular response, we might disagree as to whether or not it's an unbalanced bid.
There you go.
But that's not the question. The language suggested that if you determine it's an unbalanced bid, it shall be rejected. Now, that to me, that's pretty clear. Now, we could disagree if it's unbalanced. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm addressing. We determined it's unbalanced. In my opinion, it shall be rejected. So that's the issue. I think that we need to weigh in on here.
Any other discussion? You know, I think it's an important issue, but I think since this is the first time we've had this discussion, I would not be in a position to make a decision in either part of it, because it does make sense if it is unbalanced, and that's the recommendation. But I think Mr. Chu should get a chance to review this with Mr. Burke and staff before we go forward. Yes. We need a motion on this. The motion is to approve the report. Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mrs. Whitfield. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-1 with Mr. Barbieri voting against. Next item, LD4.
Yes, LD4. I recommend the board authorize the settlement of the case Angelette Green versus School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida, case number 918 CV 808488, USDC versus South District of Florida, in the amount of $30,000, and authorize the chairman, superintendent, and general counsel to sign all necessary documents.
There a motion? Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Our next item is P2, and before we do the personnel, our P1, before we do P1, the board always recognizes at board meetings the families of employees from the district who passed away recently, and tonight we want to recognize the families of 4 people. The first one was Maria Ambach, who was an elementary teacher of gifted at Waters Edge Elementary. She was born in 1957, passed away July of 2018. Sincere Fazakis, who was an elementary art teacher at Whispering Pines Elementary, born in 1955, passed away in September 2018. Deborah Johnson was a senior media automation tech in teaching and learning, born in 1957, passed away in September of 2018. And Sandra Pierre-Louis, who was a school food service worker at Galaxy Elementary, born in 1984, passed away in July of 2018. So if we can take a moment of silence in remembrance of these employees. Thank you. Dr. Fenoy, P1.
Yes, P1. I recommend the board approve the personnel agenda as submitted.
Motion by Mrs. McQuinn, second by Mrs. Whitfield. Any discussion? Dr. Robinson.
I just want to get clarification on the gentleman that the speaker discussed. It was essentially job abandonment? Okay, cool.
Okay, Mark Mitchell is here. Yeah.
Mark, you can come forward and speak to that.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. Yes, that's correct, Dr. Robinson. There's a process for job abandonment by district policy.
Okay, and so,
Dr. Robinson.
So it appeared to me from listening to the speaker that at least the speaker thought that there were some extenuating circumstances, and so, and according to our policy and practice, that didn't matter. Is that my?
You are correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Barbieri.
So this teacher was incarcerated, and how many days did he miss before he decided it was job abandonment? Was it 3 days? What?
Yeah, it's 10 days actually for no call, no show.
So he was gone for 10 days? And his brother apparently tried to use a power of attorney to apply for a leave, and was that done after the 10-day period, or was it done during the 10-day period?
You're getting into various details of this situation, but I can tell you by our policies, when you apply for a leave, you actually have to have some leave time to apply for the leave, and if the leave was denied, it was denied because he was not eligible.
Okay.
Mr. Mitchell means he had no accumulated leave time.
That's my understanding,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Dr. Robinson?
Is there anything that prevents him from being rehired?
He's free to apply.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is P2. Dr. Fenoy.
Yes, I recommend the board approve the personal addendum as submitted.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mrs. Brill. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. P3.
I recommend the board approve personal addendum 2 as submitted.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Mr. Barbieri. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. PIR 1. Dr. Fenoy.
PIR 1, I recommend the board approve the real estate sale and purchase contract, including a post-closing occupancy agreement for acquisition of an improved parcel of land containing 0.21 acres, more or less, located adjacent to Addison Meisner Elementary, as herein described. Approve as a resolution declaring structures located on the property to be acquired by the school board to be unnecessary for educational purposes, surplus and without commercial value, and authorize the superintendent and chairman to sign all necessary documents.
Motion by Mr. Barbieri, second by Mrs. Andrews. Any discussion? Dr. Fenoy, just a quick question. How will this piece of property be used in case somebody from the public's wondering what we just are doing on this one?
I have Ms. Paul come speak to the specifics.
The property will be used as part of the new Addison Meisner. So we've already acquired other properties, so it goes with that.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That concludes our regular agenda, so we'll move to non-agenda speakers. I'll call 3 at a time. Carl Mohammed, Ruth Beck, Jill Testa.
Point of personal
and
privilege.
before we start on the speakers, sorry, I almost forgot. And Mrs. McQuinn, you know I had it written here. Mrs.
I know,
McQuinn
I saw it with a big
asked for
star.
a moment of personal privilege to make a comment.
Thank you.
So, Mrs. McQuinn.
Some of the parents and I think possibly students speaking tonight are here because of their concerns about their students being enrolled in 9th grade this year as what was marketed as an expansion of the conservatory school at North Palm Beach to include a high school. I think back, and I listened to my fellow members, some of them, I think back to when my son started high school and most recently my grandson, the trepidation at going to high school. It's worse than middle school, really. And to know that the students and their parents made a choice about their 9th grade, their high school for this current year, that was an important choice. And then because of communication issues and who knows what else, but these students were told after school started that this was a temporary 1-year situation. This was entirely foreseeable and preventable. I'm not going to go into who did what when. It doesn't matter. This is where we are now. I know that Dr. Fenoy he will be working or is already working with his senior staff to look at a district-wide picture of what best goes where. because obviously we want to use our dollars that we have and our penny sales tax referendum money. We need to use all that with transparency about what we said we would do. So the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what went wrong. What matters is that it doesn't happen again. There was miscommunication published between the school and the district office. Who would expect a parent to understand when one parent said to me, this wasn't a secret, it was posted on social media? What parent would say, does this come from the school or does this come from the school district? I wouldn't know that necessarily if I were not part of the school district. So that piece of communication has to be worked out. What I want to say now, Dr. Fenoy, that is very important. The parents, some of them are going to ask about next steps. Whatever they are, they need to be communicated now, because you see the application deadline for next year's choice programs. We have 8th grade students making decisions about where they're going to go to school next year. For example, one mother said to me, we've done the conservatory school and now my daughter has a passion for violin. There aren't enough seats at Dreyfus to take care of all those string students. So I don't know what the answer is. I just know that there needs to be some kind of answer. So I'm asking that the parents be communicated with very soon so that they can make a good informed decision for their students for next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barbieri?
I know we don't usually do this before non-agenda speakers, but I'd like to also comment on this. When I found out what was going on, I also found out that the district knew back before school started, months before school started, that this could only happen for 1 year, that these kids were only going to be there for 1 year. And still, I don't understand why they were allowed to start there when there was plenty of time during the summer to notify the parents that that wasn't going to work. So I don't know where the miscommunication went, but I agree with Mrs. McQuinn that, you know, and my understanding is that these students are going to be given the choice to go to anywhere they want to go, free of the lottery, to make sure they get into schools that they might have chosen last year when they had the opportunity to do it if they hadn't chosen the conservatory. My concern is that these are ninth graders, you know, and starting high school is a big thing for a kid, and to have to start high school in ninth grade and then have to move 10th grade to somewhere else where now they're in with a bunch of kids that already been there a year and they're the outsiders coming in. I mean, it's a travesty that we put these children through this, and I like Mrs. McQuinn, I hope we've learned a lesson and this never happens again, and that we do everything possible to make sure the students in that ninth grade class at that school get to go where they need to go or where they want to go without any qualifications with respect to, you know, they didn't file on time or there's too many kids already in the school. I understand that the Dreyfus, they'll have to go through the audit, through the audition process. I get that. But if they want to go to any other academy in the district, we should make sure that they get in. No matter how many seats are available, those students should be able to go wherever they need to go to make up for what we did to them. So I just hope that the administration takes those steps.
Mrs. Andrews.
And I concur with that because the information as it related to me was late in coming, and I really do feel for all of the children, being a former teacher and a principal, knowing what children go through, knowing what parents are going through right now. We've got to take care of these children. So whatever it takes to make sure we make them whole because they didn't create this is truly important. So I concur.
Dr. Robinson.
I agree. This was a very bad situation, not at all acceptable. We must make sure it doesn't happen again, that things are well thought out and planned. Hopefully we will come up with some truly creative solutions to address the young people's desire to participate more fully in the arts. But let us not, in our haste to want to make these children whole, negatively impact other children. So we have to look at the whole picture and what the best solution is at the end of the day. I'm not certain, but two wrongs do not make a right, as they say. And so I just want to make sure that we look at the whole impact of any decisions made. Thank you.
Mrs. Brill.
Thank you. And since we're all weighing in, I also have to support my colleagues in what they said and just point out that nobody said that anybody should be negatively impacted. I think the message is we don't want to ever negatively impact our students, anybody, any grade level, and especially, as Mr. Barbieri said, you know, you spend a year in ninth grade, then you go where everybody's formed their cliques and their groups, and it's going to be hard for these students. So I'm on board and would like updates to this board so that we know what's happening. Thank you.
All right. And since everybody's weighed in, just one comment, and you're going to hear something a little different from me in this. My comment, obviously the board is right on making sure these kids are whole, but I think we need to realize that a lot of this is an administrative issue that the superintendent's going to have to deal with personnel on making decisions. And probably, I think it's pretty clear, but this was not an issue. I think Dr. Fenoy and staff is more than aware of what this situation is. Mr. Mohammed.
Well, I want to, hopefully I could get you to keep a little bit of that spirit that you're just directing and to deal with the problem that you're having. But we've been having that kind of problem existing inside of our community ever since I believe this school district has been incorporated. But I do want to say from the world of academia, you know, we're in the African American community. We proclaimed that the year 2018 would be the new civil rights movement for our community, and we were hoping that as a result of us proclaiming such, that this year we would have some great expectations and a lot of wonderful things would come out of it. And as a result of coming into this arena, I've seen a lot of times the superintendent would give game balls to different individuals inside of the system. Well, I wanted to, for the first time, give a game ball from the community to Ms. Whitfield and Ms. Andrews for their attempts to try to get our school district to take a critical look at the African and African American curriculum from within. I know that we have something planned for the state coming down, and I'm hoping that if you do go, Mr. Chuck and Mr. Barbieri, along with the police chief, I'm hoping that we could possibly go together so that we could experience some kind of closer relationship in trying to prepare ourselves to go forward. And I really wanted to thank Ms. Whitfield and Ms. Andrews for coming into our community. We partnered with the Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, and we met at the UB Kinsey Educational Center, and I thank you, Ms. Brill and Ms. McQuinn, because you told me that you had previous moves that you were making. But as we continue to try to really bring some real closure to some of the multitude of complex problems that we have dealing with the African American community, I'm hoping that we would take a critical look at what the state is offering, but I'm also hoping that we would take a critical look at what Palm Beach County has already prepared, because I do believe that those of us in Palm Beach County, I do believe that we're leading the other 66 counties, but it's impossible for us to teach something that we don't know ourselves. So I'm hoping that we all will experience that. And when we do go take our Palm Beach County t-shirts and our pom-poms and really try to bring some energy for the first time to the problems that are plaguing the worst part of your system, which is African American children. And I'm hoping that we could really bring some excitement, because it's time for our Super Bowl, our championship game, or whatever it is, and bring some real energy. And hopefully the energy that you bring to your board, you can help share that inside of our community. I really do appreciate you. And as we move forward, I'm hoping that we could really keep this excitement going on. I'm looking forward, Mr. Barbieri and Mr. Shaw, that we might be able to attend that class together. Thank you for your time this evening.
Mrs. Beck, Ms. Testa, Mrs. Sant. Mason Sant. Andrea Abramowitz.
Mrs. Sant or Mason?
Elizabeth.
Hi.
Mrs. Sant.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I am here to speak about the Conservatory School of Music and Innovation. I am the mom of 2 boys there. This is my son, Mason, who's a freshman, and my little 2nd grader is back there playing his iPad. After we toured the Conservatory School the first time, I knew that if my son, Albert, who was going into kindergarten at the time, was not selected in the lottery, that we would be homeschooling him. I was so impressed with the curriculum there. I had my reservations, but at the Meet the Teacher Day for kindergarten, I knew in my heart that this is where he needed to be, and it was perfect for him because I had been studying and using project-based learning to preschool him. My older son, Mason, had attended a private school in Hawaii for 2 years that was very similar, and he excelled there. When we heard about the Conservatory School of Music and Innovation opening, we knew we wanted our older son to be able to have the unique opportunity of project-based learning and the amazing staff and teachers there as well. We attended 3 information sessions last year at the Conservatory School before school started, as well as one at Suncoast and one at Dreyfus, as we know that high school choice is a big decision. My son made the decision to decline his audition at Dreyfus and audition for the Conservatory School because the concept and style of learning was exciting and refreshing to him. We were all very excited all summer after we received notification that he passed his audition and was welcomed into the school, and I would literally get tears in my eyes when I would tell people about this amazing school and the hopes and dreams I had for my children to excel there. I was amazed when we walked in to freshman orientation to see what a bright and unique environment these children had, and it was so special. I had many pinch me moments and ironically thought to myself, this has to be too good to be true. My son has been so happy and actually really, truly enjoyed school for the first time in a very long time. He has all A's and 1 B, which will hopefully be an A in a couple of days. And he doesn't have the test anxiety he has had in the past. He feels respected and like an important part of the team there, which is why he decided to remain for the remainder of the year after receiving the devastating email notification that the school wouldn't continue next year. From my understanding, he will be one of 5 students remaining after winter break. I'm here tonight to request that you all take the time and take a step inside this program and really see what it's truly like and how these children are learning and how they're excelling and they're loving education. And I would also like to request a special workshop to discuss how we can collaborate to keep this program moving forward so that students have this gift as well, because we don't want to leave.
Thank you. Mason.
Hello. My name is Mason Burton. I'm in the 9th grade at the Conservatory School. I'm one of 7 students. Before this August, I was unsure about my experience at the Conservatory School and what it would be like. I wasn't anticipating having to make completely new friends, but I put my faith in the unique style of the education I would receive. And I say unique in disappointment. Every high school should strive to exhibit the same level of advancement the Conservatory School is able to achieve. Every school in general, really, not only high schools. Every teacher is a friend rather than a facilitator. Every student is an opportunity rather than a number in a machine. I am concerned that this is what the American school system has become and always has been, a machine. Take an input, test it, make an output, and reap your earnings. Interpret that as you must, but let my words explain that this is unfortunate. It is beyond unfortunate. To think that I am of a select few students that get to escape the rows of desks and is instead presented options and opinions beyond A, B, C, and D. I hope eventually we can come to a compromise and allow the school to continue, whether it be in its present form or as a charter school. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Abramowitz, Ben Abramowitz, Lisa Butler.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you tonight. I'm here because I'm so...
Please Can you give us your name?
Oh, I'm Lisa Butler.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
My name's Lisa Butler, and I'm so very proud of my school, and I wanted to share with you why I'm so proud of my school. I'm so proud because my school takes neighborhood kids that have not had any prior experience and can't afford expensive private lessons and gives them instruments and allows them to be part of a symphony and to have lessons with artists in residence. I'm so proud because many of our students who never even had the opportunity to attend a music program are able to play a concert at the Kravis Center before Yo-Yo Ma. I'm so proud because our kids get to participate in Socratic Seminar and Harkness because our teachers are trained to facilitate that. I'm so proud because they receive technology. Everyone receives technology, Chromebooks and robots and 3D printers. And just the children in the gifted classes don't get these things. Everyone receives these things. And that's how education should be. It should be equitable. I'm so proud because when I talk about my school, people say things like, wow, your kids must go to a private school. And I can say no. They go to a public, A-rated Title I school, the Conservatory School, where education at the highest level is available to every student, not a select group. I am so proud of my principal, who when parents talk, she listens. And when we asked her, please build us a high school because we don't want to leave, she responded by creating movie nights to learn about project-based learning, by sending teachers to train, and by building us the most amazing place our children could even begin to learn. I'm so proud of what we had there. She encouraged me to go to High Tech High and see for myself what project-based learning was like. And so I went to San Diego and saw it, and it's amazing. And other districts are doing it. In Seminole County, they just opened the first project-based learning centered school right up the road. And I'm so proud of my kid who made a risky choice. He was brave enough to be a pioneer in the 9th grade class, gave up his seat to Suncoast to go to the Conservatory School. And the journey wasn't as long as he anticipated, but it was a wonderful journey. 6 weeks later, when he entered a new high school, he went back to Suncoast when they decided to close the conservatory. It was a difficult transition, but I asked him on the first day, I said, well, how'd it go? Was it tough? He said, you know what, Mom, life's not fair, but thank goodness I got to go to the Conservatory School because they taught me how to think and how to figure things out.
Anne-Marie Lang, Reese Harvey, Gary Mitten.
I don't bite. Good evening. I heard a good story on the way here. Earlier this month, they had a principals meeting conference at the Hilton Hotel. Did you hear about that? Well, when they got there, the AC wasn't working. Isn't that irony? Well, you know, they just made a phone call to maintenance, and they brought over a bunch of portable units, and everybody lived happily ever after. But you had to call maintenance to get the Hilton working. I don't know if that's a misuse of public funds or not, but we got the job done. There's roughly about 205 facilities in the county that we take care of. And in the maintenance department, if you look under the reorganizational chart, from page 5 to 9 is mostly the trades. There's 49 vacancies. There's 202 workers. There's 32 bosses that don't really work. Now, if you want to look at your figures, your percentages, it's all wrong. You don't have enough workers. You need to fill the vacancies, and things may run a little smoother. But the current language is, here the rumors are, you're going to get rid of the vacancies and bring up the salaries of the journeymen. Well, you're still going to be short employees. You don't have the qualified technicians for the ACs now. There's too many ACs and not enough qualified people. to get a little bit of equality going, to be competitive. Do you know what you have to do to your AC technicians to compete with Hill York, Carrier, the big companies? I'm not talking 5, 10, 15%. You would have to double their salaries. Now, it's my understanding that you've taken money away from maintenance to use in pet projects. That's not really the right thing to do. I've heard Mr. Mike say that the competitive bid to replace these units is quite complicated. These people can design, engineer, install these units, but yet they can't do a competitive bid? I find that very hard to believe. This stuff should have been done 20 years ago. And don't say you don't know about it. God knows I've been preaching to you for 20 years. You know about it. And you ignore it. And now the whole county's falling apart. Kids are in the hallways learning. Is this the way you run a district? You're in charge of billions of dollars worth of acreage, facilities, much less hundreds of thousands of kids. There's 2,500 in a high school, 7 months out of the year, along with faculty. You got to think something's going to break. And it's your job to supply the help to get it fixed when it breaks, not 2 months later. So, y'all have a very safe trip home. God loves you.
Bishop.
I'll see you next month.
Ms. Lang and Mr. Harvey.
Good evening. My name's Reese Harvey. I'm an attorney here in North Palm Beach, Florida. I have 3 children at the conservatory school, Ryan in the 7th grade, Ellie in the 5th grade, and Julia in the 2nd grade. I want to thank Councilmember McQuinn, for spending the time talking with me about this issue. I want to address some concerns I have. I grew up in Tampa. I went to private school. I really wanted to go to public school. But my parents had diagnosed me with a learning disability, or had me diagnosed with a learning disability early, and I went to private school because they felt it was important for me to have specialized education. I struggled. I really did through high school. Then I went to Auburn University, got a 4-year degree at a giant public university without special help. I went to law school, and now I'm a lawyer here in the community. When I had children, my very first concern was their education and what I was going to be able to do in order to make sure they didn't have the kind of environment that I had. And I really wanted them to go to public school because I know what I missed out on by getting the opportunity to go to public school. And you can imagine how excited I was when I met Teresa Stupas and went to the conservatory school and saw what's going on there. That woman can manage a school, and she can put children first, and she can make sure that they're learning in the style that they have to learn. Sorry, I'm frustrated, but I don't want to talk about the past, about how that got there, but I was so happy when they started asking parents what they wanted. And I said, we want a high school. We need a high school. We have to have a high school. I was so excited that it was project-based learning, because that's just an amazing situation. You should come and see how it works. I'm very excited about that diversity at the conservatory school. My kids, unfortunately, wouldn't have a great opportunity to experience diversity without the opportunity to go to the conservatory school. And that's one of the most incredible parts of their education, not just what they're learning, but in my opinion, what they're getting there. There's overcrowding in the North End, and maybe just a little bit, but it was helping. Someone mentioned already, but I was asked by another parent to mention that there are students who studied strings and wanted to go to high school to do strings and violin. And the Dreyfus is the only opportunity for them to do that. So until TCS, the conservatory school had an opportunity for them to do that. I request a workshop, that you all please set up a workshop so parents can come in and give input. Board Member Andrews, you said that we need to do what needs to be done to make these kids whole. And while I don't have a kid that was attending, I have one that was planning on attending. And the only way I can say that you can make this whole, and I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to come up with creative solutions. Let's restart this school and keep it going. If not, let's get something going for future generations. Thank you.
Mrs. Lang.
Good evening. My name is Anne-Marie Lang, and I'm a parent of Max, an 8th grader,
and Leo a 6th grader at the conservatory school. The middle school is a magical place there, as well as the high school was. My children come home regularly and engage me in discussions about topics they spoke about in Harkness, which is a roundtable discussion. Our school uses this roundtable discussion to delve deeper into topics that they go through in ELA, civics, or history. My children are in a school where they are becoming problem solvers. Not only problem solvers, but also problem seekers. They look for solutions in contexts where problems previously never existed. Our school is a Title I school. Last year, 7th grade English FSA, no pupil at our school had a level 1, 0%. The district 7th graders ELA FSA scores, there was 24% level 1. Dear members, you are facing the task to bridge the requirements for today for our students with the requirements for tomorrow. The conservatory school is already providing inquiry thinking and deeper learning in an innovative classroom experience. I am here to ask you for a workshop for the high school. Please let us delve deeper and discuss about a possible path about continuing the school. Thank you.
Thank you. Rochelle Zeitlin, John Gosney, Kim Linton. Mrs. Obramowitz. Christopher Knight.
Yes, sir.
Right. Ma'am, can you give us your name, please?
Yes, I'm Kim Linton.
Okay.
So thank you for having me here tonight. Like I said, my name's Kim Linton. I'm just a mom that's here on behalf of her son and the kids in my neighborhood about some issues that we're having. So sorry if I'm a little nervous. I'm here to make you aware of and ask for your help with a transportation issue that we're having. Myself and many other parents in our neighborhood have tried to address this for several weeks, and we're not making any progress. It's all been for naught so far, so now I'm here. We live in Jupiter Farms, and our bus route is N70. Over the past 15 days, our bus has, so this is just an example, our bus has been significantly late 8 of those days, either in the morning, the afternoon, or both. When I say significantly late, I mean 30 minutes or more. This causes our children to miss school in the morning and they're missing classes. In the afternoons, they're standing outside in the rain, in the hot sun. They're waiting to be picked up by a bus that sometimes never comes. When it does come, it's very late. The administration of Jupiter Middle School is asking the children to call parents to come get them because they've been standing there for so long. And so we're all rushing, we're leaving work, we're trying to get there and pick them up, and sometimes by then the bus actually does show up, and sometimes it still doesn't. So I have talked to multiple people. So Ross Larson is in charge, to my understanding, of North County Transportation for us. I've talked to Crystal Washington, and I've talked to I've emailed Dr. Jeff McGee, but haven't heard back from him. Just trying to get answers. I've called the bus depot numerous times, and myself and other parents are all receiving different answers about what the issue is. We've been told at different times that it's a severe shortage of drivers. Other times we've been told it's that our driver just for our route was reassigned, and that's what the issue is. So we can't get a straight answer as to what the issue is or when it's going to be resolved. So since we haven't been able to get that type of resolution, I've asked if there's a way to communicate to parents just to let us know. If we have a heads up that the bus is going to be significantly late, we can make decisions that will help ensure that our kids get to school on time. If we know that the bus is going to be late in the afternoon, we can plan for that. But us not knowing is a significant issue. And so when I've asked for that type of communication, I've been told that that's not a possibility. I find that hard to believe because I get robocalls from Palm Beach County school system on a weekly basis. So I'm not sure why we can't get that done. But in the interim, obviously we need the issue solved as a whole, but in the interim, if there could be a way for us to get some sort of notification so we can make sure that our kids get to school on time, that would be wonderful. I have, for whoever would like, all the details of my contact information and everything that I've talked about this evening.
Mrs. Linton, Mrs. Paul, who is our Chief Operating Officer, will talk to you as soon as you're done with this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Make sure she gets that. She's right behind you, so you can talk with her.
Thank you.
Right. Either one.
By all means.
Just your name, please, just so that I...
Andrea Abramowitz. Our two sons started at the conservatory school when they were in 4th and 5th grade. From the beginning, we were so impressed that the program that Mrs. Stupas and her staff created that I suggested very early on, we need a high school. After watching my older son, Ben, blossom through middle school at TCS, we were ecstatic when we learned that he could remain there through high school. That happiness ended after 6 weeks into 9th grade. With the discontinuation of the Conservatory School of Music and Innovation, you have sadly crushed the dreams of nearly 40 students. You may say we had a golden ticket for our kids to go wherever they wanted, but you know what? The transition's been hard. My son chose to go to Suncoast, and it's not easy because the 6 weeks of A's and B's that he got at the conservatory school didn't transfer over to Suncoast. And tomorrow, with 9 weeks ending, he's going to have a report card with 2 C's on it. He's never had C's before. Perhaps 40 boys and girls out of more than 193,000 students in Palm Beach County are a drop in the bucket to you and an easy budget cut. But you have crushed dreams of these kids and of parents and of siblings and teachers and a principal. They provide an exceptional out-of-the-box way of teaching, and our kids thrive there. We are passionate about this. I want you to find a way to make the Conservatory School of Music and Innovation a reality. We've been given excuses of why it didn't happen 6 weeks into the school year. But the reasons that we've been given just don't make sense to us. We want real answers. And as the gentleman said previously, a workshop is a great idea where we can have these discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. And somebody from staff will get with you because those grades should transfer. So there will be somebody who will get with you to take care of that issue. Mr. Knight.
Before you start the clock, I wrote this for 5 minutes and then edited it over there in the chair, so bear with me if it sounds rather, out there. That being said, my name is Christopher Knight. I am the father to a 5.5-year-old son named Nicholas Knight that attends Citrus Cove Elementary School. At the beginning of my son's start in kindergarten school, I requested to be able to walk him to his classroom and to be able to observe him in the classroom a couple of times a month. Only since then have problems come about. I am speaking in front of you tonight as a last resort to have my voice heard. Up to this point, other than the Office of Civil Rights in Washington, D.C., I have received absolutely no help whatsoever with regards to my experience within the school administration and school board regarding gender discrimination, cultural discrimination, and a complete unnecessary use of local law enforcement against a parent
Because of the gender discrimination and the cultural discrimination, along with the local police, I am now forced to argue my points through local school policies, which is the only reason why I'm standing in front of you tonight. According to School Board Policy 1.015, the policy is supposed to incorporate the requirements under the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001, Section 1118, which is also known as Title 20, U.S. Code, Section 6318. Now, in that section, it clearly makes it very clear that parental observation is allowed within the classrooms, and you can look that up in Section D2 Charlie within Section 6318 of that title. But in School Board Policy 2.06, it states that parents are not allowed observation with their children in the classroom. So not only does School Board Policy 2.06 violate School Board Policy 1.015, but the response I received from the Office of Elementary and Secondary Education in Washington, D.C., from Director Patrick Rooney, was that in order for me to be able to observe my son through the use of Title 20, Section 6318, I would have to remove my child from Citrus Cove and move him into a Title I school, which I find ridiculous. Whether it be the gender discrimination, the cultural discrimination, the private use of local law enforcement to intimidate me, the vile accusations from instructional superintendent, or the need for explanation in school policies that I have brought up, I have yet to see any action. Principal Laura Green promised that I would walk my son. I got the police instead. Instructional Superintendent Jeff Pegg promised conferences. That's never happened. Superintendent Ian Saltzman spoke and promised conferences. Nobody has called. I have begged for explanations to policies. I've explained myself thoroughly as to why this is culturally important, and I received not even the common courtesy of acknowledgement. I have asked for explanation as to why I have a police officer by school direction telling me outside after dropping my son off that I would do better to not make waves, and I quote that. Why? For wanting to observe my son in the classroom and to be able to hold his hand to his classroom? That is shameful if you ask me. So I encourage you to review your school policy 2.06 and 1.015, because as of right now, I am not allowed to pass on my cultural identity to my son. I'm not even allowed to go and see what he does in the classroom.
Thank you very much. Judith Lawrence and Daryl Williams. Mrs. Lawrence.
Okay. Uh-oh, 1 minute, please. Let me just get this back up. For some reason, I lost it. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Good evening, school board members, and congratulations, Dr. Funnell, as the chosen superintendent of the school district. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am Judith Lawrence. My concern reflects on how I have reached too many to resolve a grade issue at Seminole Ridge High. My child is autistic, and with this, she has been unfairly treated because she is not able to recall or remember that she submits her classwork. And when she does submit it, they won't grade it. And they give her an F per quarter to say that she's not doing what she's supposed to do in class. If some of you may know my daughter, she's an oratorical speaker. She always participates. She always do what she's supposed to do in class, and whenever she's asked to do something, she does it. Now, my concern here is, how can a child receive all Fs who is autistic and 2 teachers' classes and not the others? My concern has fallen on deaf ears, and nothing is being done to rectify the issue. I am in need of your support to rectify these issues for children who have, not just my child, but children who have these kind of issues, and for teachers to understand or to receive some sort of training so that they would know how to work with students who are in an inclusion class. If a student is unable, is included in a class, and they're the only child in that class, why isn't there some sort of help proposed upon them? I don't think the teachers should be allowed to give a student with a grade F if they're doing their best. But this is my concern, really. But I think it's everybody concerned who has a child with a disability. How would any of you feel if your child with a disability was experiencing what my child is experiencing? I believe that the school district should give training to teachers who are not following the protocol or having to help a child who is experiencing such needs. I'm asking you, the board, to step up and correct issues such as that. Give the teachers and the administrators training, because I've taken my issue all the way to the top, to the district and to the board. And there's nothing anybody could do because it's a conspiracy at the school, whereas everyone is saying she's not doing what she's supposed to do. She's a child with a disability.
Mrs. Lawrence, somebody from the area office will get with you as soon as you're done, and there's somebody behind you. So.
Well, I've contacted them.
Okay,
and
they
no
will
one.
get in touch. So your time is up, but somebody will be with you now. So.
Okay.
Mr. Williams.
Hi. Good evening, Superintendent, members of the board. I just wanted to take this moment to introduce myself. My name is actually Darren Williams. I apologize for my handwriting. Basically, I've spent pretty much my entire childhood being raised in the Palm Beach School Board. I went to Egret Lake Elementary, then on to Roosevelt Middle School, and then graduated from Lake Worth High School in 2006. And to be completely honest, I think it's done me well. If you know, it's allowed me to continue on and get a bachelor's degree from the University of Central Florida, pursue a master's degree, and I'm currently actually studying for my doctorate in education. And so as a young man, I recognize that I have a responsibility to give back. And so about 8 years ago, I tried to figure out what I could do to serve the community around me. And I currently wasn't in Palm Beach County at the time. And I did the only thing that I knew how to do was to talk. In school, I would get in trouble for it, and then I became a motivational speaker, and they wanted me to come in just to do it. I say that because I've recently moved back to Palm Beach County for personal reasons and to finish my doctorate degree. I'm currently in the dissertation phase right now, going through it, and I have plans on getting married in the next few months. Not that that has to do with anything, but it's a big deal, so I'm telling everyone. Anyhow, I just wanted to, over the past 8 years, I've managed to build great relationships with schools in Volusia, Orange, and St. Lucie County, and I just wanted to extend that same opportunity here. I've spoken to different demographics, whether they be in student councils or in school suspension students. I've spoken in different levels, whether they be in singular classrooms or school assemblies. I've also spoken in different settings, whether it be at the National Honor Society induction ceremonies or pep rallies and events like that. I just want to serve, and this is the best that I know how. It's the only thing that I really have a passion for is young people. Before this, I was a youth pastor. Before that, I worked for a nonprofit for foster kids who age out of foster care. I just want to serve, and so I have contact information. I'm more than willing to sit aside. I'm not sure how the decorum works towards the end, but anything that I can do to serve this community, those are my giftings and abilities. But if there's something I can do outside of that, I'm currently going through the process of registering as a volunteer, as I know I should. But I wanted to come to you specifically. I want to be part of the solution, and I know where I'm at right now. And as I continue to gain more, I'd love to continue to serve more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Mr. Oswald, who's our deputy superintendent, will talk to you. And he's like all of the other, he's right behind you at those tables.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. That concludes our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Dr. Robinson. All in favor? All opposed? We stand adjourned.
Yes.
I'm not going to go to that.